Hello, this is Sunil Sunder Raj with the Ordell Sports Roundup. Tonight, I'm happy to be speaking with Taisei Kurachi, a senior on the Riverdale Golden Hawks varsity wrestling team. Taisei, again, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, congrats, Taisei. I said recently you notched your 100th career victory, a milestone achievement. I had to ask you, I said a victory, I believe, last week over Anthony Catacino of Ramsey, 13-5. Can you talk about this means to you personally, Taisei?
Um, well, obviously it's a milestone that many strive for during the high school, but for me, it's more of it's not really an end goal for me. It's more of what is it? I would say like a side goal.
Mhm.
My end goal is obviously to place like high on the podium for the state championships. So this obviously is a nice stepping stone, but I would say it's one of my side goals for this year.
Talk about your preparation going into this match. If I said you knew that this, you win this match. I said it's your 100th career victory, and just in terms of the match itself, and then once said you were able to pick up the win. Just talk about said just that overall said night.
Yeah, going into the match, it was almost like a surreal experience because like obviously everyone on the team is talking to you about, oh, this could be your 100th win, and in the back of your head, it could be your 100th win, and like obviously you can't let that get to your head. You just have to wrestle like it's your normal match. So on Wednesday night, I just went out there and just wrestled like a usual match, and then it took me some time. It took me some time to actually like settle in and realize what just happened. But I just took it as like a normal match, not let the nerves get to you.
I mean, it was a great week for you. I mean, it said not only you said that win, you picked up 3 wins, and then plus it said there was a win over Northern Holland. So I think last Saturday you were able to add a pin. I mean, up for I think North Jersey. Said wrestler of the week. Just talk about that. I mean, it said it's once you come off that type of high, like but being able to said keep your mind focused on the task at hand. Just talk about that, Taisei.
Yeah. So obviously, being nominated is an honor for the North Jersey Wrestler of the Week. But I do think that those like selections or can be skewed, and like sometimes I feel like some reporters just pick and choose whoever they want to like. What is it? As the North Jersey wrestlers. So
Yeah.
I don't too much of it, to be honest, but it is cool being selected as one of those wrestlers.
Can you talk about said the weight class you're in this year and entering this season? I think your overall career record was 89-13, just outstanding. Just talk about that, Taisei.
Yeah. So this year, I'll be going. I'll be wrestling in the 120-pound weight class.
Okay.
And last year I wrestled in the 106-pound weight class. So this would be a 2 weight class jump for me. And with that, obviously you have to adjust to a new wrestling style, and that may be hard for some, but I think I've transitioned decently well to this new style, and I plan on just keep improving and just becoming better and better each day in practice.
Yeah, it's terrific. You talked about last year. I mean, picking up your first state medal, taking seventh in I think the Phillipsburg meet, 106 pounds. You went 17-3 last year. Just talk about, and you were named I think to the Old North Jersey team. Just talk about 2021. I mean, especially having that type of success, Taisei.
Yeah. So obviously, On paper, 2021 was a pretty solid year for me.
Mhm.
Obviously, a region finalist and a state medal. But for me, last year was I don't think last year was my best year of wrestling for me actually, because um I was cutting a lot of weight last year, which is obviously a part of the sport, but it was
Mhm.
affecting my confidence as well as like my overall performance. And I feel like I could have wrestled maybe a little bit more high on a higher level if I gone up a weight class.
Mhm.
But obviously the results were good and weight cutting did pay off. But this year, cutting less weight for me is improving my confidence and my like I feel like I can focus more on my wrestling ability instead of just cutting weight during the season, which helps my just mindset in general.
It's great. That's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, it's the first time interviewing. I said wrestler, and I wanted to ask you just about the techniques and just multiple matches per week. There's a lot. I mean, this is it's about physical part of the sport, but also the mental as well. Can you just talk about that? How you've been able to? I mean, again, sustain. It said that here 4-year starter. I mean, again. Uh, what you've been able to accomplish. Can you just talk about that, Taisei?
Yeah. Um, this sport, obviously, everyone says it. Oh, it's all mental, but if you don't wrestle, you really never truly understand how much it can like affect you. Obviously, every day it's a 2-hour practice in scorching heat with layers on layers,
Yeah.
just all obviously all conditioning and like for me, obviously I've been a pretty good wrestler for basically my entire life. I've watched my brother wrestle, so I've had a pretty big advantage.
Mhm.
But for people who start off freshman year or maybe even senior year, they struggle to get on the varsity lineup. But they still have to go through the practices every day, run the same conditioning circuits, and the results are they may not like come obviously as soon as they want to, but they still have to keep practicing with the same people, still get beat by the better people in practice. And that is probably the toughest part about the sport because practices are obviously extremely difficult, and the only time you can show off all the time in practice is when you can win it, like you can win in the match. And even if you lose in the matches, it's all on you.
Mhm.
It's a one-on-one sport, so you have no one else to blame.
Yeah.
Which is why many people think it's a tough sport for
Yeah.
us.
I know that, of course, last week, I mean, had to be one of, probably, rank up as one of the biggest highlights, say in your career. But are there any other memorable matches that you can, look back upon and just say, wow, like, said I was able to do that. I'm just curious about that, Taisei.
Yeah. Um, that would probably be my freshman year. I was a very small wrestler freshman year. I was very underdeveloped,
Mhm.
and I had a teammate, Matt DeGeneres, if you know him. But he for districts for the final competition during the wrestling season, there's a wrestle off that you have to win in order to like wrestle a certain weight.
Mhm.
So I wanted to wrestle at the lowest weight class for the districts, but I lost in the wrestle offs to my teammate, so I had to move up a weight class. But since I was underdeveloped and like underweight, I was giving up almost I'd say 8, 9, 8, 9, 10 pounds. So the opponents were much larger and much stronger than me. but um, I managed to make it to the district final that freshman year,
Mhm.
and no one. I mean, I'd say no one really expected me to win. Not the media, not the seating, and he was obviously much bigger than me. Like when I came onto the mat, like everyone knew the size difference. It was
Right.
obvious, but still managed to grind out the win, and that win really boosted my confidence as a wrestler because giving up 10 pounds, as well as being a freshman, beating an was an upperclassman, and that was really a pretty big match for me. I'd say freshman year.
That's terrific. I wanted to ask you about head coach Nick Baronell. He said in his fourth season as the head coach, he also serves as an assistant coach. Said for I think 4 years. Uh, Graduated from Riverdale High School and wrestled on it said the Golden Hawks, varsity wrestling team. Can you just talk about what he's meant to you, these past 4 years in terms of your development and just the fact that he also, again, said wrestled said at Riverdale, how much of a difference that is made as well.
Yeah, Coach Baronelli is a terrific person on and off the mat. My family is extremely close with him, as I have a brother that wrestled as well,
Mhm.
and we've watched Coach Baronelli go through the rec program since he was little, and we've watched him become the assistant coach, drilling with our heavyweights, and now as my freshman year, he became the head coach. And before he became the top head coach, we had Coach Toda, who
Mhm.
was a really respected coach in our region, in Bergen County. So transitioning from that was obviously not an easy task because the coach set out over 300 wins, a bunch of different accolades. So definitely not an easy task, but Coach Baronello took the step, transitioned the team into close knit bond overall. And our freshman year, we had a pretty solid record, so I'd say that was a pretty big success on our part.
It's terrific. Wanted to ask you about this year's team. 14 seniors, I broke it down, 5 juniors, 10 sophomores, 11 freshmen. This team, I mean, it said Bergen County Team of the Year 2 years in a row, undefeated, it said league champions, last year. It said back-to-back league champions, and then 2020 made the Group 3 state finals. I mean, and I was jotting down before we came on the air. I think five, said brother combinations on this team. Just talk about it. I mean, again, to see where this program has grown and ascended to. I mean, it's got to feel good, to be a part of, said and leave this type of legacy behind as well. Can you talk about that, Taisei?
Mm-hmm. Wrestling is obviously we all we all endure the practices. We all go through the struggles together. That's why we're so close together. And that I think that's the best part about the team because no one says the practices are fun because they're not fun. Everyone says the team bonding experiences, like going out to eat after a match,
Yeah.
celebrating together, winning the matches together, winning close matches together. Those are the fun moments that we all love to have. So having that, especially as a public school compared to, for say, like a private school like Bergen Catholic,
Mhm.
they're much more centered toward like individual wrestlers rather than team because those type of teams are more just to improve as individuals instead of just growing together as teams.
Mhm.
So us Riverdale, we have that connection that makes it a more fun experience for all of us.
Yeah. I said covered the varsity football team. I know there are a bunch of guys on the team, from football that are also on the wrestling team. Said Gabe and Kyle Case. Said Curtis Cerise, Joe Boyle. I mean, just talk about. I mean, to see guys from other sports, said join this team and be a part of it for a number of years. How cool is that as well, Taisei?
Yeah, we have most of our varsity lineup is multi-sport athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously awesome to, just think about, because I'm obviously, we have Gabe, Joe, Curtis, Ren. I'm probably missing a lot of people, but we have well-rounded athletes on our team.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it special.
I know. Now, did you also play varsity boys soccer as well, Taisei?
Yeah, I did actually in the summer.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you, said also being a sport athlete, how much that factors in terms of your training. And I wanted to ask you because just the rigors of the sport as well, like with weight, with diet. Can you just dive into those aspects as well?
Yeah, of course. I've played soccer since I was very little, probably first, second grade, and I just always enjoyed that balance of wrestling and soccer, because soccer is more of this team aspect where you play as a team, but wrestling during a match is just one-on-one, so you don't really blame losses on each other. It's just you. So having that balance as a team in soccer and then that individual aspect in wrestling, I think helped my development as an athlete throughout all these years.
That's great. I wanted to ask you, is putting that, dyeing the tights, putting on that Riverdale, said uniform, just what it's meant to you. What does it represent to you personally? What it's meant to you, said these past 4 years, Taisei?
Yeah. Putting on that singlet and walking onto that mat, it's like I feel like I have this whole community behind me. Seeing my friends, family, classmates all coming to support on home matches. It's one of the best feelings that you can ever experience, especially those Friday nights during the season where we would have close matches. And then after a close win, you look over to your stands and you see all your friends cheering you on. That's an experience I'll probably never forget. So having that opportunity is really a blessing to me.
I didn't want to skip over this topic. I know it's been very difficult for not only you, but the rest of the student athletes as well, just in terms of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and now this new variant, the Omicron variant, just how you guys have been able to, I said, handle that and just continue to have a season. I just wanted to ask you about that, Taisei.
Yeah. So obviously, wrestling, everything is hands-on. Everyone is close together, touching, whatever, grabbing. And that's just part of the sport. But we work so hard together and we have so much respect for each other. So none of us are willing to just do stupid things and have the slightest of chance of possibly shutting down the program. So we've all promised each other not to go out and party with hundreds of people on Saturday nights or Friday nights. Just for these three or so months that we're together. And I think that's worked out pretty well for us, even so last year and this year.
Yeah. As I mentioned, it's also being a student athlete. I wanted to ask you how you've been able to just maintain that balance, said between the practices, as you said, are very, said rigorous. And, then the matches itself and that recovery time, just how you've been able to, with time management, just staying organized with that,
Mhm.
Taisei.
Um, Personally, I feel like I work better on a busier schedule
Mhm.
because I feel like I'm more productive in a way when I have more things going on. And I realize that on those like long breaks where I have too much free time, I don't really seem to get anything done. But if I have these practices, these matches, I feel like my routine is set. So um I'm more inclined to do like my homework on time, having good quality sleep and all that stuff. So I think it's more beneficial for me to be on a busier schedule.
It's terrific. Just have a couple more. You mentioned the students. Said and the support you received from them. Talk about athletics. You have said one of the best athletic directors is said in Bergen County, the state of New Jersey, and Dennis Nelson. The administration, said Principal Brian Pepe. Just talk about again from athletics and administration, that standpoint in terms of the support for not only you personally but also the team as well.
Yeah. Mr. Nelson is one of the best athletic directors around this area by far. And the work he puts in um is remarkable. He's always making sure everything's set, everything is organized. Whenever a match is canceled, he's right on to um, contacting other teams if we could get set up a match.
Mhm.
And that's what makes our program so fluid and makes it so much easier to work with because not many schools have this privilege where we have um, this awesome athletic director, this administration, and that's what I feel like keeps us as a team more motivated
Mhm.
because having a unmotivated coach or
Mhm.
per se is not gonna help the team out. And having Coach Baronello, having all the assistant coaches, and having Mr. Nelson lead the athletics, it obviously benefits us all on the wrestling team and all of athletics in Riverdale.
Mhm. No, it's wonderful. I wanted to ask you. Every athlete I pose this question to, and I'm wondering because you have with Riverdale High School, you have two towns in Oradell and River Edge, and I'm just wondering which town you're from, and that dynamic is so interesting. But to have students from both towns and then come together as one, in a school, I'm just wondering about that, Taisei.
Yeah, I'm from River Edge, but
Okay.
in our rec program, we always used to combine Overdale and River Edge.
Okay.
So when I was part of the rec team, I remember most of the good kids were from Oradell,
Mhm.
and that's what there was like a slight rivalry between
Yeah.
like River Edge and Oradell.
Yeah.
So that was just a little fun dynamic we had back in the day.
Yeah. You talked about playing sports. I said wrestling and soccer. I was wondering about when you did take up the sport, and you mentioned your brother. So I'm just wondering when that happened. Like at what age, and just again what piqued your interest in the sport. I'm just curious about that, Taisei.
In the sport of wrestling?
Yeah, when you were first picked it up and started, I just I was just wondering about that.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So I joined the team in first grade.
Okay.
I had no idea what was going on. My dad just signed me up for wrestling because my brother was doing it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have no idea why my brother started doing it either. But my first tournament was actually a state qualifier. And my dad just told me this one day. He's like, "Oh, we're going to Tom's River." And I didn't even say a word to him. We just hopped on the car, 2 hours and 30-minute drive, Tom's River, and that was it. That was the start of my my wrestling career. I didn't really have a say, but it just happened because my brother was.
That's cool. I'm more, you talk about family, just talk about the support you received. You mentioned your brother, your dad, rest of the family, what that's meant to you, said not only your wrestling, career, but also at Riverdale High School, Taisei.
Yeah. My family is the best support system I've ever had. They're always at every single match. And my dad is always recording with his camcorder. And my mom is always screaming at the top of her lungs in her really high pitched scream that everyone recognizes by. And they're always screaming in Japanese. And when I hear something in Japanese, that's when I know, oh, it's definitely my parents or my brother. Yeah. So it's just this. I felt every single match, I just felt like I had someone behind me, and something that was keeping me going.
Yeah.
In my matches, just my support system and my family.
That's special. I wanted to get your take is that noticing that now, of course, with having female wrestlers as well in the sport, how, that's made such a huge impact now. Like, I'm just wondering in terms of the sport, can you speak to that, Taisei?
Yeah. I think it's awesome having female wrestlers. I think it's remarkable that female wrestlers are willing to step out of their comfort zone and join a team where 99% of the team are guys. Mm-hmm. And obviously the practices as well the matches, they can be daunting because most of the time the girls have to wrestle the guys, and there's obviously a strength disadvantage, size disadvantage here and there. So, but having more girl wrestlers or female wrestlers on the team I think it's an awesome step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And more so now, colleges are having female wrestling teams. So I think female wrestling as a sport is in good hands, and I'm sure it'll grow exponentially from now.
Okay, you mentioned good hands. What is your take in terms of the Riverdale? It said varsity wrestling team, the future. It looks very bright. I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Riverdale wrestling will always be one of the top contenders in Bergen County, no matter how many people we graduate, how many freshmen we bring in. And every year everyone is like, oh, you guys will have to pick it up next year. And the truth is everyone does pick it up the next year, no matter how many starters graduate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's mainly due to the coaching staff, the environment, and mainly it's just, I feel like it's like the team and the team chemistry that brings everyone together, not just the individual skill. So I think Riverdale Wrestling will always be one of the top contenders in Bergen County.
Yeah. It's popped up into my head. I was debating whether I should ask you or not, but I thought if you talked about, said your culture, said being Japanese, that wrestling is huge. Of course, said in Japan. So I wanted to ask you, what does that mean to you? Said just to represent your culture and just in terms of that the sport itself. I just had to ask you about that, Taisei.
Yeah. To be honest, I didn't really think much of it ever, but being I'd say more so as an athlete rather than wrestling, being an Asian athlete and excelling at my sport is a good way. It's like it feels like I'm representing my culture
Yeah.
well. Not just more so like wrestling, but more so being as an Asian athlete
Yeah.
in my school.
Well said. I'm just you're in a great spot, and said you've definitely said have excelled in. I think are a terrific role model. Said for younger kids. I'm wondering what your advice would be to younger kids, athletes out there, who might watch this and just what one day want to end up, maybe in sitting your spot. Just what would your message would be to those kids out there?
My message would be just to enjoy their sport and find ways to make it fun, whether that be just relaxing and not overthinking after a loss or an injury. Just think about what makes a sport enjoyable, and if you can't find the enjoyment, then maybe it's time to take a step back, maybe take a week break, and then come back to it and see if anything changes. Because sports are meant to be enjoyable. They're not meant to be. They're not meant to be a chore. They're not meant to be like a hassle or whatever. They're meant to be fun and something that you can feel a sense of accomplishment for. So
Mm.
my advice would be just to look for ways to make a sport fun. That's it.
It's great. Okay, Taisei, you have the final word. This is a new segment I've come up with. Said especially for the seniors is that what you're for family, for friends, classmates, teachers, Riverdale High School, and the town of River Edge.
Mm-hmm.
The floor is yours. If you want to.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported me, my friends, my teachers, my staff, the coaches, teammates, everyone who supported me throughout these all 4 years. Especially the upperclassmen who've graduated already. My drilling partners. Without those people, I would not be here. I would not be here today. So I just cannot thank them enough.
Great. Hey, just an incredible honor and privilege, Taisei. Congratulations again on your 100th career victory, and wishing you continued success the rest of the season and with graduating, of course, here in 2022 and with college, in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.